de tout reprogrammer. On ira, on saura sauver notre existence, se donner une chance de tout effacer. On ira, on saura sauver notre existence pour refaire un monde sans danger. Comme tout reprogrammer.
Hello and welcome to Return to the Past, a Code Lyoko retrospective, the internet's premier Code Lyoko podcast, because we are the first, and the only, and the best. I'm Ben, and yes, I do know the Muffin Man.
I'm Mary, and I haven't been the same since the accident.
I'm David, and I think anime is real. What?
Please mute me, I was trying so hard not to laugh at Mary, and then,
Well, I feel accomplished today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our special guest, Undyne.
Yeah,
Undyne.
right, yes, Undyne. Undyne the Undying.
Exactly. Bringing us all the way from the year of our Lord, 2015.
If Undyne had, what's the word? A recognizable voice, I would imitate her. I do a pretty good Sans impression, though.
oh, Jesus.
So we have a lot on our plate today. For one thing, we have an episode that, upon watching it again, maybe this is going to be a controversial opinion among the three of us, but I think this would actually be a really good starting point for new viewers to the series.
I think that's fair. You know, looking back, contemporarily, when I was watching it at the time, if you had asked me to list the best Code Lyoko episodes, this would not have been on the list.
Same here.
But retrospectively, that's a plug there for a little retrospective,
Cool.
I think this might belong on that list.
I think it might too, if only because it feels like it's the first one that actually explained a lot of the underlying tensions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny, though. I kind of had a logbook moment. I remembered this episode being radically different.
Well, what did you...
I thought that Cruel Dilemma and the Bulldozer episode were two completely different episodes. And I thought that the plot point right at the end, from whence the episode gets its name, I thought it was a much bigger deal than it really was.
Yeah, it was only, the last couple of minutes.
It was the last couple of minutes, and overall, it wasn't that cruel a dilemma. It was a foregone conclusion, and I find it a little strange that it was even a question at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
I mean...
It wouldn't have been a foregone conclusion if indeed this had been the first episode. So, yeah.
I guess it just seemed kind of weird to me. Like, the choice was have Aelita go on as she is, or literally sacrifice Yumi.
Yeah, just straight up, she's gone. Like, her parents no longer have a daughter, kind of, it was...
Well, it's not... she doesn't retroactively disappear. It's just like she died.
Yeah.
Well, still, they will no longer have a daughter, even if they had one previously.
But Aelita's here! Yay!
Yay! Hey, can she still stay in Yumi's house?
She's the replacement goldfish.
We got you this. We got you this new daughter. She's pink.
Remember that one really awkward episode of Diff'rent Strokes? When Arnold's fish, his goldfish dies, but Willis thinks that Mr. Drummond died, and he says, "Oh, don't worry, Arnold. We'll get you a replacement, a black one."
Oh no! I never watched Diff'rent Strokes.
Me neither.
It was a different time. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Wait, no, I gave a very inaccurate description of that episode.
What?
Oh no, Willis was nowhere near as cold as that. It was. How did it happen? Oh, I know. Arnold was the one that thought that Mr. Drummond died, and. Yeah, okay, no wonder. Alright, sorry, I slandered two beloved TV characters. I apologize.
No, it's
Thank you for
okay.
clearing that up, David.
I've never seen Diff'rent Strokes. I had no idea what you were talking about.
Well, you wouldn't like the show.
Oh, okay.
It's capital P problematic.
Didn't age well, huh?
Not in the slightest, no.
Oh, womp womp. Okay, now I remember what I was going to say. So you know how every week I tell all of you that you can email us at rttppodcast@gmail.com which is RttP and then the word podcast@gmail.com. This last week or two, we got 2 emails.
Nice!
Isn't that great?
Swing!
Swing indeed.
I can't believe that there are actual humans out there who, listen to us talk.
Oh, yes, there are. There are, at least going off the download statistics, there's at least a couple dozen.
A couple dozen?
A couple dozen? Oh my goodness gracious.
McElroy's, watch out!
If by any chance you're listening, McElroy's, that's not a challenge. We love you.
They're not listening.
You don't know that. You know what they're doing right now?
Probably something involving the clown box.
Probably.
At least that's what I hope.
Our first email came to us from a listener that requested that they remain anonymous.
It was me. I'm the anonymous emailer.
It was not Ben. Okay. Their question was, what made you decide to make this podcast? Was it because you all recently got back into the show, or was it always on the back burner, a last attempt to relate to a scattered fan community? I think that, at least among the 3 of us, our experiences with Code Lyoko are pretty unique.
Are they, though? Are they?
Well, I mean, Code Lyoko has never been on the back burner for me.
No, me neither.
It's always been my, number one fandom.
Really?
And I'm not sure that that's really the case for a lot of people. I think Code Lyoko, for many, many people, the majority of the people who ever paid attention to it, it was a cool show that they watched every now and then on Cartoon Network, and then it slipped into the back of their consciousness, and they remember it now and again, as us nostalgic millennials do from time to time.
Right, and it's never really talked about. Sometimes I'll mention that I really liked it, and I'll see their eyes light up, and they'll be like, Code Lyoko, I loved that, and suddenly they'll reveal this encyclopedic knowledge of it, but it will have just been, living in the back of their minds for years.
What is it about Code Lyoko that makes its fans love it so much, but assume that nobody else loves it?
I think just because it seems... I guess it's so different compared to all the other TV we experienced,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it never really had the strong following of other cartoons. It wasn't really talked about at school. Nobody really had the toys.
Oh, well, the toys, they were very hard to come by. I tried to get them once, and they were sold out on Amazon, and they never restocked.
Oh, I mean, I remember seeing them in toy sections in department stores, but my mother being how she is, I never was able to get them.
Oh, man.
Gosh darn it.
I wonder if I could have gotten away with convincing my parents to buy me toys when I was in high school. Maybe I would have.
It would have. And that's another thing. We were probably a few years above the target demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that I've noticed even today. It's odd that it remains so consistent, given that the show is aging. But the fans that are out there are typically younger, on the younger side.
Typically, yeah. Even people that newly get into it, they're usually younger than us.
Well, I was trying to think. Is there anything really dated about the show? Well, the music, I guess. Like the music that the kids listen to.
The cell phones.
The cell phones, the 3D animation is very.
No, but I meant
2000s.
is there anything in the show itself that really dates it as taking place in the early 2000s?
Well, yeah, the cell phones definitely, the Nokia bricks that they all use.
Good point.
Fashion used to date it, and then crop tops came back in style. So
it's funny. It's funny how that happens.
I know.
Yeah, everything's a cycle.
It is. I'm trying to see if there's any part of this we didn't. I guess it isn't because we all recently got back into the show. Like I said, it's always on the back burner for me. Well, and
for me, it was kind of on the back burner. I kind of felt like I outgrew it for a while.
Shun the non-believer.
No,
Shun.
I mean, I still liked it. I remembered it fondly, but I didn't get passionate about it anymore. The way I did about my current fandoms. But now that I've been watching every episode in chronological order, it's kind of like that little flame is flickering back to life. Definitely,
that's good.
I was about to say, I hope that it's re-sparking for you, because yes, this was just. It's something that's always been a part of me, and I want to share what I feel with other people, because I want I want them to understand something I have a lot of trouble telling to a lot of people that aren't named Ben and David.
Also, podcasts are topical now.
Oh, yes, they are. They're cool and neat. And like you said about a scattered fan community, if we can bring fans together, then that would be the most awesome thing.
And that's always sort of been a dream that I've had. I mean, it's not like a dream that I've actually worked for at all until now, I guess. But Code Lyoko never had a fandom quite like, like say Teen Titans or something that really grabbed a whole group of people and lots of people were talking about it. It just had a bunch of scattered people who liked it, and there was never much of a community involved except for, you would know a few people, and like you might be in one Code Lyoko fan forum, but it wasn't really part of anything broader. And I always wanted Code Lyoko to have a fandom like that. So if there's something that I can do to spark that to happen, then gosh darn it, I'm going to do it.
Here's some food for thought. What other shows from around the same period do you think are in the same boat as Code Lyoko?
Like most things that were on Magoozy, but I feel like it was different.
Totally Spies?
I was going to say Jackie Chan Adventures.
Oh, Jackie Chan Advent. See, look, there I go. That's exactly how people respond to Code Lyoko. I love Jackie Chan Adventures.
That was so pure and sincere. What a perfect reaction.
Also, I know another thing I liked around the same time was Shaolin Showdown.
Oh, Shaolin Showdown! Oh my god, see?
Remember when everyone on the internet had a crush on Jack Spicer, who, looking back, was just like this whiny 12-year-old?
I didn't have a crush on Jack Spicer. Well, maybe
it's
little
okay.
one.
I probably had enough of a crush on Jack Spicer for the both of us.
But like, I don't know. Like that's too cartoony to be attractive.
Or what about like the later villain who came in after Jack Spicer and was better than Jack Spicer in every conceivable way?
No.
Wuya
was the old
dude.
lady. No, the dude.
No, Wuya was a sexy young lady though. Like whenever she took human form, she was like this Elvira-looking woman.
Yes,
you're right.
Yes, she was.
Chase
but
Young.
also there was this.
What was his name?
Chase Young. I also had a crush on Chase Young, but I also wanted Jack Spicer and Chase Young to kiss.
Okay,
that was my thing.
I can respect that.
That was probably, looking back, that may have been. I can't say what is the first because my memory is so jumbled, but that may very well have been my first. I want these dudes to kiss ship.
Ho ho ho!
I'm trying to think which cartoon character awakened my nerd sexuality. I don't think I remember. I think I might have blocked it from my memory.
I think for me, I probably Teen Titans, which I think we've discussed here before, right?
I definitely had a teeny tiny little crush on Raven and on Terra. Oh. Funnily enough, not on Starfire. But I don't know. I don't think I ever felt too strongly about.
I was broadly obsessed with Starfire for a little while. I don't know if I'd call that a crush. I haven't really examined myself in that context.
To be honest, I may very well have had a crush on Raven, long before I figured out other things about me. But then I probably also had a crush on Beast Boy.
I think I just wanted them all to be my friends.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I have such raging friend lust for so many characters even today.
Raging friend lust.
Raging friend lust, yes.
There you have it, Anonymous Asker. We do this because we have this deep and abiding longing to be friends with Lyoko warriors. And the other email I'm going to touch on briefly because I never received a reply when I asked if we could discuss the email on the show, which I wanted to do to be polite, and it's totally okay, Asker. But it was someone who had asked if we had heard of a fanfic and said that they would love to hear us talk about it. I think the fanfic was called The Games of Moriarty, which I had never actually heard of, but would you guys like to read fanfics and discuss them on the show? Maybe on an infrequent basis?
Depends on how long they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. The shorter
I was going to say, what if we establish a rule where, if you email us, unless you specifically say that you don't want us to read it on the air, we can read it on the air.
That sounds like a good
quote
rule.
unquote on the air.
That is officially ensconced in the terms and conditions of Return to the Past, a Code Lyoko retrospective.
Yeah, but we won't go into super intimate detail or give out your email address or anything.
Yeah.
And if there are other ways that you want to get in contact with us, our Twitter is RttP Podcast, as with the spelling that we've mentioned before. Do we have anywhere else we can be found? I'm trying to think. Well, iTunes.
On social media, iTunes, we are available on Google Play. But as far as interacting with us, I'm not sure that we have anything else at the moment.
Social media.
Yes, we do. And I think mostly I'm the one using the social media, but you guys can feel free to hop on anytime you want.
Well, sure, you're just going to have to give us the password.
I already have given.
But don't say it on the air.
I did give you the password.
I don't have the password.
And our cover art, as ever, was done by the amazing Ingram. You can find their work on Twitter at Ingram Comics. That's INGRAM Comics with an X. Or you can find them on their website at www.ingramcomics.com, spelled the same way. And, well, that's it for me. Let's dilemma some cruels.
Yeah. Okay,
so the first... Oh,
no, you go ahead.
Blah.
I was just going to say that the first thing about this episode is... Can you stop that, please?
What are we doing?
I was doing the Sans voice.
Oh.
The first thing, when you watch this episode, is that they forgot to put the lyrics in the opening theme.
That's right.
And the thing about this opening song, by the way, is that it is awesome in whatever language you listen to, even without language. Because if you listen to it in the English or the French or what do you call it, instrumental, it's all great.
It is all great. I think the best part of it was that it didn't. There's a little line within the instrumentals that kind of follows the beat of the lyrics, so it kind of went.
It does go like that.
It goes exactly like that.
Also, was this just in the copy of the episode we watched, or was it like that when it aired too? I think it was.
Well, I couldn't tell you.
Me neither. Either way, this opens up as Jean-Pierre Delmas is, I think, at his Jean-Pierre Delmasist, as he is showing us a couple of bulldozers and telling us that there is going to be a new school gym, which, by the way, we never see.
Is it going to be a gym? They said athletic facility. I thought they were just going to make a new track or stadium or something.
That's the impression I got, too.
Same here. I don't think they ever actually did anything with it, though.
He's such a good principal, though. He cares so much about what he does.
He does. Also, but why are there only a dozen students listening to him?
Well, maybe those are all the ones that have gym at that time.
Maybe.
Don't ask questions.
It's a mystery. All I know is Julian Zhao and that other kid are super excited.
I mean, new gym. Come on.
New gym.
Good for them.
20% more gym than the old gym.
Yeah.
Jim is my favorite character.
But
you don't have to give me that pity laugh, Mary. I know when I stumble.
I think it was funny. Oh man, I feel a little overwhelmed because I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to collect my thoughts.
Okay.
I just got back from work 2 hours ago, guys.
It's okay. I just woke up 2 hours ago.
What were you doing 2 hours ago?
Waiting for us to start recording.
Oh, waiting for the bus in the rain?
Yes, I've been doing nothing of particular interest.
Oh.
Trying to brainstorm some story ideas for a thing I'm doing unsuccessfully.
Oh, love to hear it.
Wow, what a nerd.
Well, that's what I do all the time. Well, I think this next
That's what
bit,
I do all the time.
where they point out that Jeremy isn't there, that was the moment where I was like, oh my goodness, this episode's going to be great. Because they were talking about, Jeremy's off talking to his darling Aelita, which is exactly what he's doing.
Oh, and then this episode is full of double entendres.
Oh, yes it is.
It's so full of them. Jeremy and Aelita are hanging out in Jeremy's room. Aelita is in the computer, of course. And they're talking about materialization.
They do this
and Aelita
a lot.
says something like...
have computer dates.
Yeah, it's like a cyber date. And she's like... What does she say? It's like, can you believe it, Jeremy? Pretty soon we're going to be able to touch each other.
Yeah, she's going to be like, we can touch.
Even kiss.
Kiss. And
Oh, and Jeremy just blushes, and it's this really schmoopy moment, and it's adorable.
It is, and he kind of drops the ball a little bit. Like, it's clear Aelita wants to board the train to make out town, and he's just
It's
like...
so cute.
It's adorable.
You board that train, Aelita. We ain't here to judge.
We are. Like, sometimes I think maybe over time I've gotten a little cynical about Jeremie and Aelita. This just melted my heart.
It did. It melted my heart as well.
Like,
oh, man. If only they could stay that way, right?
Yeah. They got a little weird in later seasons, didn't they?
Well, Jeremie became kind of like, he didn't like it when she didn't turn out to be exactly his dream girl. When she developed her own interests.
Well, that's just it. I mean, the screen still provides him with a comfortable distance from her, you know?
Yeah.
They can talk
he doesn't have to think of her as human yet.
Right, they can talk about touching, but he doesn't have to confront the reality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, relationships are hard.
As we will see, he when Aelita actually does kiss him, it's a whole big thing. But not yet. Right now, what he's doing is he has to do the first step, which is figuring out the devirtualization program. I think in other episodes I accidentally said virtualization and not virtualization or materialization. They're interchangeable.
Wait, hold on. Is this the moment when they talk about how there are only two senses on Lyoko?
That's a little later.
Yes. Well,
a little later.
But it is this episode.
But keep that in mind, because the episode itself kind of contradicts that, as you will see.
It does. It's just really confusing, and don't worry about it. So, Jeremie tries to run a simulation of the devirtualization program, and it broadly does not work, and he gets a little frustrated, and Aelita reassures him, and it's really, really cute. And this is just the emotions that I felt. It's like I felt Jeremie's desperation, you know?
I'm so glad that you can still feel this way about this old cartoon, Mary. It gives me hope.
Oh,
Your fangirling gives me hope for the future and for life.
Oh, well, I hope I can carry the world on my shoulders.
You won't have to, because I'll be there with you.
Oh, for the love!
So then, I don't remember why Jeremie steps out of the room. Why does he step out of the room?
I don't remember. What is he... well, anyway, he steps out of the room.
Let's just say he's gonna go pee.
Okay, yeah, let's say that. So anyway, odd. I don't remember why he left where he was either, but he decides that it is appropriate to go into Jeremie's room, and he spots something on the keyboard.
Candy.
It's a bag of candy, and he's like, "Oh boy, candy!" Like that's not his exact line, but it might as well be his line.
I think it is his exact line.
There's something like, "Oh, it's another one of his weird computer things." Oh wow, candy! It's like the same breath. Great.
It was basically a squirrel kind of moment.
Yeah, no, It was great delivery. And then Jeremie immediately returns from the bathroom, and Odd gets startled and drops the candy all over the keyboard.
And we see a very distinct sequence in which, when the candy hits the keyboard, the keys all get pressed by this candy.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 random keys that get pressed. And Jeremie gets all pissed off, and he's like, "Don't touch my stuff. These are sensitive keys." Until he runs another simulation. Or wait, no, first he says, this is a great scene for Jeremie lines. He's like, "You're such a cosmic creep, Odd."
Wait. It's like, wait, am I a genius or a creep? You're a creepy genius.
Yeah, no, that one was wonderful.
Yeah.
But he says that after the program works.
The falling candy, by some miracle, fell on just the right keys, and it fixed the program.
What's the saying? If you have 1,000 keyboards and 1,000 bags of candy and you drop them, you get something about Shakespeare? That doesn't sound right, but let's go with that.
1,000 monkeys, or just one monkey and some candy. I was also reminded of the beginning of Freakazoid, where it basically came to be because the kid's cat walked across the keyboard.
I've never seen Freakazoid.
That's the only thing I remember about Freakazoid.
I've heard good things, but I've never seen
a word about Freakazoid.
Wait, you've never heard about Freakazoid?
And I've heard of it,
Oh.
but I don't know literally even a single thing about it.
Oh, well, I'll catch you up. There's this nerd who lives in Washington, D.C., and he somehow got the whole internet downloaded into his brain, and that turned him into the Mask, except not really. And now he fights evil with the power of slapstick cartoon comedy.
Good.
Okay, if you get the entire internet downloaded into your head, you're not going to become... We're not going to discuss that.
Well, this was the internet circa about 1995.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. So, like 8 websites. All right.
Yeah, not even
But 7 of them were still porn, so...
No, well, very low resolution, so maybe he couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah, those could be watermelons.
Anyway...
Or coconuts.
Jeremy is he's so excited.
I'm talking about hair just for the record.
Oh,
Just
David.
Just big.
We're going to have to bleep, all of that for iTunes.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I oh man, no.
So anyway, Jeremy is over
please
the
stop.
moon.
Please stop talking about parts.
Catalytic converters.
All right, but keep the line. Please stop talking about parts.
Okay.
That has the makings of an instant classic.
Okay. So yes, Jeremy is over the moon, as Ben said. He's like, okay, we're gonna do this right now. And then he talks to the others, and they're like, no, we're not gonna do this right now. And this is another moment where I was like, oh my goodness, because it's not really an action moment. They're talking and liberating, and it's this huge emotional center. And
they discuss something that has always been something that has sparked my imagination about the entire series, but it's a point that's always fascinated me. And they say, we can't just bring Aelita here. She doesn't have a place to stay. She doesn't have an identity. So they talk about, maybe she can stay with Yumi's parents. But we would have to, hack into City Hall to get her a birth certificate so that we could enroll her in Caddick.
It's surprisingly realistic.
And they don't mention this at the time, but it gets mentioned in later episodes that it costs a small fortune to go to Caddick. So they never really broach that particular question.
See, I knew it. I told you guys. Caddick is a rich kid school.
It is a rich kid school. Yeah, no, they never broach the fact of they have to embezzle a lot just so Aelita can go to school with them.
I mean, hey, priorities. They could just be embezzling stuff to embezzle stuff.
Well, that's very true. I mean, although, as we see later, using Lyoko stuff and all this stuff to get money is something the group frowns upon.
Yes, it is. It's a rule that they have, which is good. Good for them.
But wait.
If I was 12 and had access to time travel, oh God.
But why wouldn't they use it for that reason now? They're not really cheating anyone. If they do the classic time travel thing, which actually does come up later in season 2, to go back in time and pick the winning lottery numbers, that's a victimless crime.
Well, yes, I feel like maybe it's because it would change their lives too drastically,
I always figured it was out of a respect for what the supercomputer was, and they use it because they have to use it, for the purposes of saving the world, and they didn't want to cheapen it by using it to just enrich themselves.
Also, keep in mind that they find out later every time they use the Return of the Past, Anna gets stronger.
Although they did not know that initially.
They did not.
They won't know until halfway through season 2.
Yeah, but that's the main reason they got so mad about it in season 2, because they knew that.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, makes more sense now.
Yeah, but no, they're able to solve sort of those logistical problems with Jeremy's computer magic, and they decide they're going to get all this stuff set up, and then they're going to materialize Aelita. And it also struck me as funny, at one point they say, Aelita has no parents. That's what you guys think.
Spoiler alert.
I know, right? And then
spoiler alert.
Then we get another sweet little conversation between Jeremy and Aelita, where, as we say, isn't this the one where they talk about how Aelita can only see and hear? No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, I remember what's going on. They're talking about sleeping and how Aelita has never slept before because she doesn't need to. and Jeremie's telling her about what sleeping is like, and I'm trying to remember the context, but suddenly it cuts to Jim being a noise man as he sleeps.
Yeah.
But wait, don't skip over the part. There are only 2 senses on Lyoko, sight and sound, which means there's no sense of touch, which undermines the whole climax of the episode. But like I said, we'll get to that.
No, well, that was basically it. And then at that point, Aelita cuts the conversation off because pulsations. Hey guys, remember the bulldozers?
Yes, I do remember the bulldozers. Which,
They're
by the
coming.
way, I mean,
They're coming.
from an objective standpoint, they're only like decently sized bulldozers.
Oh, they're tiny.
They're not enormous at all. They're, like you hop up in the cab and, you've got a bulldozer. It's like driving a car with a giant scoop on the front of it.
Car scoop. Would you say it's a super scoop?
No, it's a pretty average scoop.
Oh. So yes, these average scoops, they're coming to life because Xana's on the move. He's coming to get you.
They do this really, really cool sequence where the headlights get the eye of Xana flashing in them, which we will see reflected in later seasons when Xana gains the ability to take over people. They get, and I'm sure that if you've ever watched the show, you saw, they get the eye of Xana in their eyes, and headlights on a car are like eyes on a person. We've established this myth in our society. So I just thought that was interesting that even so early, before they probably even developed the idea that Xana could take over people, that they were getting eyes of Xana in their eyes, just like people would.
You know what's funny?
What?
The eye of Xana, also, it's also in the towers.
It is.
It is.
Like, Aelita is standing on top of it.
So, what came first, the symbol or Xana? The eye or Xana?
I have to presume the eye came first, because, and this is a super, super spoiler, but at the very, very, very end of the series, when the supercomputer descends into the basement of the factory because it has been shut down, spoiler alert, the eye of Xana is on top of the metal thing that goes over the supercomputer. So obviously Franz Hopper put that there when he built the place.
Right.
Spoiler alert again. So it had to have come first. I believe it was the symbol for Lyoko, and Xana co-opted it.
Each of those little pegs or rectangles represents one of the sectors, and then the circle in the middle is Sector 5.
Ooh.
That was always my operating assumption.
I
okay.
never even thought of it that way. I thought it was just a cool eye.
Well, I'm sure that's what it is, but, if we want to retroactively place a meaning on it, I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yes.
It doesn't even look like an eye, though. I guess it kind of does.
A little like an eye with big clunky eyelashes. Whatever mascara Xana uses, it's not a very good one. I have at various points in my life considered getting an Eye of Xana tattoo, but I'm not sure about that.
Right on your forehead, Mary, right in the middle of it.
No.
But then you'd look like Bullseye. At least a scene in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie.
I
don't know what Bullseye looks like in the comics because I've never read them.
I don't even know who this Bullseye is.
He's a Daredevil villain.
Ah, okay. I've never seen any version of Daredevil, so of course I would not know him. And now, probably one of the funniest scenes in the episode when Jeremie goes in and tries to wake up Odd and Ulrich.
He just breaks into their room shouting. Incidentally, this thought occurred to me, and maybe I'm wrong. It's not very often that they physically go into each other's rooms to wake each other up. They'll usually call each other on the phone or something. Am I making that up, or is it unusual for Jeremie to physically go into their room and wake them?
It happens a couple times.
Not
too many.
Maybe it depends on how panicked he is. It's usually the middle of the night when he does that. And he just goes in and starts yelling like, Xana's attacking! Xana's attacking!
Which, by the way, pays no attention, there are people on either side of this room, I have to presume. But Jeremie doesn't care. He's just shouting as loud as he can, Xana's attacking! And not considering that, Thomas Jolivet might be next door thinking, well, who's Xana?
You went there, didn't you? You brought back Thomas Jolivet.
I will always bring back Thomas Jolivet.
Thomas Juggalo.
Thomas Juggalo.
Don't bring juggalos into Code Lyoko. Code Lyoko is pure.
Did I ever tell you
I will erase it from history.
My first and only Juggalo encounter that happened about a month ago. It was I was at Walmart and there was a Juggalo there, full face painted, full face paint, just went all out, just walking around like it ain't no thing.
In a Walmart.
Yeah. Are you sure it wasn't a Gamzee Makara cosplayer?
I wish. I would have found a new friend in that case, but nope, just a regular Juggalo.
Oh, to veer off from Juggalos.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if one of the Lyoko kids became a Juggalo? Like, they all just come back after summer vacation, and
William.
one of them is a Juggalo.
It's William. After his encounters with Xana, when everyone comes back, he's a Juggalo now.
Yes.
All things considered, and I kind of wish I could put this in the episode because I think it's a very good observation. William probably would be the type to like change his personality for 2 weeks and have a phase.
No, absolutely.
Don't leave this out of the episode. It's part of the fun, I think.
All right. Well, like he would have a scene phase, and he would have a hipster phase, and then he...
do you think so?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
I guess.
William's kind of a weird guy, as we will find out when he actually enters the show, and thank goodness he isn't in it yet. Instead, we have Ulrich, who, despite all this shouting, is still fast asleep.
You know, you guys act like you don't like William, but I remember you used to like him.
Okay, you know what? We're not going to go there, okay? I have tried very hard to move on.
Ben named his cat William.
I did. I named my cat William. I had a raging crush on William. I loved everything about William. William was my favorite. I wanted to be with William. Okay.
William was a terrible, terrible human being.
William was a creep, and I have moved on, David. So let's slumber what slumbers.
And may
okay.
and may William the cat rest in peace.
Rest in peace, my friend.
I didn't know he was dead. May he rest in peace indeed.
He was a good cat. I played with him once. He was a very good cat.
He was a very good cat. So anyway, Jeremy cannot, for the love of his life, wake up. That's not the expression I wanted to use, but it's what I used. Wake up Ulrich. He finally shakes him, and Ulrich, like, what? And he pulls earplugs out of his ears. And they're like, why do you sleep with earplugs in your ears? And Ulrich just looks at Odd and says, someday, Odd, you will know the answer to that question.
It's like, one of these days I'm going to tell you why.
I kind of get the feeling like that's more of a French expression that doesn't translate super well into English.
I didn't quite get it.
I think the joke here is Odd snores.
Well, yeah.
Yes, well, we get the implication.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's a French expression or
says.
if it's just a joke. Either way, they run to the factory and they see the bulldozers. I think Ulrich tries to stop one by leaping into one and trying to drive it away, and it just doesn't respond to him.
As a side note, we see that the bulldozers, like the steering wheel and the levers, are all moving, as if Xana is somehow operating the vehicle by moving the stuff. But when Ulrich tries, he can't, which doesn't make much sense to me, because either the steering wheel is moving the bulldozer or it's not, and if Xana is moving the steering wheel, then it seems perfectly logical to me that a human being with actual arms could move it just as easily. But
maybe Xana had it locked down. Also consider that neither of them have a license to operate these vehicles, and Xana is a bad boy while Ulrich is a good boy. So it makes sense that Ulrich would not be able to operate the machinery.
Oh, of course not.
That's a solid observation.
Yes. And in the meantime, I think, is it Jeremy that's gotten on the phone and is calling Yumi at her house? One thing we see she sleeps on a futon, which is pretty cool.
And she has this really creepy stuffed animal in the corner.
Oh, wait.
Do we see it?
No, we don't see it. I think in season 1 she has a Totoro in the corner.
No, that's season 2 and from then on she has a Totoro. From Studio Ghibli's beloved classic, My Neighbor Totoro. But in season 1, she has this weird creature.
purple, like these huge, like something out of a Tim Burton movie, really.
I'm pretty sure it was the other way around, that she had Totoro in season 1, and after that she had the big stuffed purple cat.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
No, there's no way. I remember the Totoro being in season 2.
Well, maybe it showed up sometimes. I think it was painted into the background, and they animated the cat over it, because maybe Moonscoop didn't want Totoro.
I remember things differently.
Oh, man. Well, I guess we'll see which one of us is right.
Yeah, well, anyway, Yumi is sleeping on her futon with her hair tied up into a tiny little ponytail.
It's really cute. And when the phone rings, she slams her alarm clock.
Yeah, and it is, by the way, very clearly noted to be 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yep.
I'm not even tired by 2:30 in the morning.
Oh.
I suffer from terrible insomnia. That's around the time when I started watching Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh. Did you know they're making a new season on Netflix?
Not only are they making a new season, I think it premieres this week.
Oh, yes. I'm gonna have to give it a look. All right. Well, as we were saying, it's 2:30 in the morning, and I don't know about you guys, but if anyone woke me up at 2:30 in the morning, I'd be groggy too. But Yumi does have the presence of mind to realize, oh, hey, it's a Xana attack. Now we get to the more action-y part of the episode, which, I guess, something unique here. The B plot, both the A and B plots exclusively involve the main cast of 5. Like, I think after Jean-Pierre, we don't really see any minor characters around.
Sissy doesn't get a line. Million to Mia don't get a line.
You're right. I didn't even realize that until just now. Does Sissy even appear in the episode?
No, and we only see Jim for a few seconds, and he's asleep.
Is this the only episode without Sissy?
I'm probably not the only one,
There's a few
but I imagine it's a rare occurrence.
Yeah.
She is, after all, the diva and star of the school.
She is.
No, she's the star of the diva of the school.
I was thinking that literally just as I was saying the words, but I was already committed.
And you
so.
call yourself a Code Lyoko expert, Benjamin.
Sometimes. Where were we?
Bulldozers.
Bulldozers. Odd. Ulrich is in the bulldozer, and when we say in the bulldozer, like Xana closed the doors. He is in the bulldozer, and he cannot get out of the bulldozer.
Oh, he cannot get out of the bulldozer.
And the bulldozer is on its way
to the factory.
And I just want to say here that this was probably, out of all the Xana attacks, because, I mean, look, we watched Code Lyoko. We know that everything's going to get fixed in the end, right? Mm-hmm. This was one of the episodes where I legitimately felt a concern that maybe something different would happen. Because the plot of the Xana attack in this episode is that these bulldozers are getting sent to the factory. And if the factory is destroyed, more particularly if the lab and the scanners are destroyed, the Lyoko warriors have no way to get to Lyoko, and Lyoko is the only way in which they have to stop Xana's attacks by shutting down the towers,
right?
By deactivating the towers. So if they lose the scanners, then that's it. That's literally it. They cannot stop Xana, and Xana is completely free to do whatever he wants for the rest of forever. Which makes me surprised that Xana does not attack the factory literally every time.
But if he destroys the supercomputer, he destroys himself.
Well, no.
Yeah, but he's not targeting the supercomputer.
Right. As long as his brain and the supercomputer is safe, all he has to do is destroy the scanners, destroy the interface, block access, and block any access to the mainframe room, and he's fine.
Yeah, I guess. Well, my concern was more like how does he make sure that the scanners go, but the computer itself doesn't?
He doesn't go down into the other basement? I don't know. You're asking too many questions, David.
So then Xana will be A-okay for about a year until his uranium battery starts dying, which that is probably one of my...
Oh, that's another plot point.
That is an episode that makes this episode look dull in comparison. Like, that's how good that episode is. Just letting you know.
You've got that to look forward to in, 6 months.
You know, I was just thinking, the one and only time when I've felt like something big might happen and we wouldn't go back to the status quo is that one episode, I want to say it's season 3, but I'm not sure, when Odd is stuck in a storm drain that's rapidly filling with water.
Yeah!
Oh, you're right! Oh, that was nuts.
And Yumi goes to help him, and she's pulling on the bars. And you can see,
And
like,
they can't get it.
that anime vein throbbing on her forehead. You guys remember that?
I don't...
And I just remember the shots of looking like the shot is looking down from Odd's perspective up to the light of the sewer grate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's filled with water. Oh, man.
I think that's the one and only time of an anime trope, a visual anime trope, making its way into Code Lyoko, too.
It was one of the very, very, very few instances.
Yeah.
It was a very good instant.
Anyway, that was a good episode. We'll get to it in, like we said, 6 months. Maybe more than that.
Well, it will be fantastic, and you'll know that we've gotten there, because I'll just be like, oh my god, you guys, remember this, remember this, remember this? Isn't this great?
I can't wait.
I'll be texting you guys endlessly. I guess to move on to the episode that we're at. Jeremie and Odd get to the factory. Wait, I think Jeremie's there first, then Odd gets there. One thing I noticed is that Jeremie greets Odd when he gets there by talking to Aelita. Odd's like, hi, Jeremie, and then Jeremie says, Aelita, Odd's on his way.
Sometimes Jeremie is very business, you know. And this was an episode where Jeremie was very business. His business, of course, is materializing Aelita, but still.
That's just it. I think at this point, he's convinced that all he has to do in order to get Aelita back is stop this final Xana attack.
I'm sure. You know what? I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, like,
he's not excited enough, if that were the case. He acts pretty, the way he normally does.
That's very true. I had a feeling that they thought they were going to take another few months to prepare.
Yeah, that makes sense, given their conversation earlier.
Right, so he virtualizes Odd, and actually here, Aelita, this is one of the episodes where Aelita's a little more talkative on Lyoko, which is good.
I love Aelita.
Aelita is so great.
I said this before, but I consistently think that she is, when she speaks, I think she's probably one of the more well-written characters that there are.
Oh, absolutely.
I always feel most captivated by what Aelita's saying when Aelita's saying
something.
My
goodness. And, like, there's something I feel like that's missing in the real world because she's not there yet.
Well,
yes.
we're getting there. I mean, in what, 20 more episodes, we'll get to see her come alive?
Exactly.
19. In 19 more episodes.
19 more episodes, but we've got a lot of great ones coming up. I'm trying to... what is it that they do? I guess the enemies for this week are... Roachsters.
Roachsters. And we talked about this before.
They say it
but
so
now
much.
We finally see
they
it.
say the word roachster so much.
Which is such an awkward word. How do they say that?
Terrible, but...
Roachster.
I guess it is the most direct translation, but... I don't know, Kankralot just kind of sort of trips off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you say roach in French?
I don't know.
Let's not find out. Alright. Oh, you kids. Someone's gonna correct us in an upcoming email, I'm sure.
They mention something here. They say that Aelita makes it very clear that roachsters always, or she says roachsters usually move in groups of 5.
Yeah.
That is not consistently used throughout the entire series, nor do I think that there have been 5 roachsters in the 5 preceding episodes every time that we've seen them.
No, I think they usually move in like groups of 2 or 3. Also, I don't know why they keep establishing things if they're not going to keep them consistent.
It's just for world building, I think. But like you said, they don't care.
Well, yeah, but you know, it's rule of cool all the way, and it is pretty cool. It's another 4-sector fight. It's pretty neat. We see Odd.
We still haven't seen the mountain.
No, we haven't.
We've only seen the desert and the forest.
Yeah, we haven't even seen the ice sector yet. Although I think next episode we see the ice sector, don't we?
Maybe. Have we ever? Has it ever even been established that there are 4 sectors yet?
I don't think so.
For all we know at this point, there could only be the 2.
Right. Oh man, I didn't even think of that. I mean, for the second episode, for all we know, there's only the desert.
Guys, consider the following. If you could add a brand new sector to Lyoko, what kind of biome would you make it?
City?
Maybe a beach. Ooh, no, city, yes.
City sector.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say, a city.
And City Escape could just be playing on loop.
Rolling around at
At
the speed of sound.
Got
The places to go, gotta follow my rainbow.
Thank you for joining us on our Sonic the Hedgehog podcast.
On our
sure
Sonic
there is
Adventure
one,
2
actually.
podcast.
I bet you there's a Sonic the Hedgehog podcast somewhere
I
out
bet
there.
you there's a million Sonic the Hedgehog podcasts. And I guarantee that every single one of them is run by a creepy fetishist.
Or the ever popular Christian Sonic fans.
Oh, those guys, yeah. Or by Exo Paradigm Gamer. Shout out to Exo Paradigm Gamer, one of my favorite YouTubers, who makes very insightful videos about old video games.
Yes, indeed. I have seen them, and they are good. So at the same time all this is happening, I think the bulldozers have arrived in the factory, and... Sorry, I'm refreshing my memory on this episode, which I saw yesterday, by looking at the screenshots on CodeLyoko.fr, as I usually do, and it looks like they've started destroying the place, and in the process, Ulrich has been knocked out. Yumi has arrived, and she's carrying him into the lab area.
That scene, it made me feel things, man. Like, Yumi's rescue of Ulrich was very dramatic.
Oh my goodness, yes, it is, and she's like kind of slung over her shoulder, and she climbs down into the factory through the ladder, and she leaves him in Jeremie's care. It hits me just now. She's showing herself to be so valuable and so noble, and
she is. Yumi is a good person.
She is. She's great. I think as a kid, I didn't really appreciate what she brought to the team. Like, she's very
I don't think
strong.
I did either.
I always figured Yumi was the strongest in multiple different contexts, the strongest of the Code Lyoko warriors.
She is. Like,
well, physically, I'm sure she is, given that she's older than the rest and does a lot of martial arts.
Physically, emotionally too. Although she does, like, once you break through her shell, she's pretty vulnerable, as we will see.
As are we all.
She doesn't really have, like, she has a very sarcastic sense of humor. Also,
she does. I feel like she puts up a lot of walls on purpose. Like, I could talk for hours about how I think that her family and her family dynamic and feeling isolated in social life, not just because she's been transplanted out of her home culture, but also just because of the way she interacts with people, and the fact that she even tells us before she joined the Lyoko Warriors that she had no friends, how that shaped her as a person.
Yeah.
Yumi is the Helga Pataki of Code Lyoko. Although,
she is the Helga Pataki.
In terms of how, like, there's this whole other story going on with her home life that the show doesn't really focus on, but it could, and it would be very dramatic.
Exactly. She is much nicer to her crush, admittedly.
Oh yes, much, much nicer.
Much, 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 much nicer. So Yumi gets there, Yumi goes to Lyoko to help out, but as Yumi arrives to help defeat these roadsters, does something that he very rarely does again. He has another future flash vision.
Yeah, that's right. And he sees Yumi falling into the digital quote-unquote void.
Which, as we've established in the last episode, if you fall in there, it's quote-unquote game over.
Yep.
And as they explain here, you'll be virtualized forever, which I take to mean it's like you'll just sort of be.
I think
they don't really get into it.
I think you get turned into code and just scatter throughout the internet. That's what I think happens.
Well, Jeremie says he has to locate Yumi, so she must exist, or if one were to fall into the digital sea, one must exist in a singular place. It's just that you can't get out of it ever.
Right.
You're there. There's nothing else.
What happens if you dip a toe into the digital sea?
I think once you touch it, you're there.
Yeah.
They don't, like, one cannot swim on the digital sea. You touch that, and whenever monsters fall in, they show this beam of light shooting out of it. You know,
right.
Like,
yeah, it even happens in this episode.
It's like they touch it and they explode. Kind of like fire reacting with gasoline. You touch it, you explode.
Yeah, okay, I can accept that.
Another thing that Odd does in this episode that he very rarely does again is that he comes close to running out of arrows.
Right, yeah, that was a common season 1 thing. It got to be kind of a joke. Running joke. Hit me. Is it this episode or next episode that begins Pick on Yumi Week?
Oh, I forgot about Pick on Yumi Week.
And then season 2, there's Pick on Jeremie Week.
I believe that this does start Pick on Yumi Week.
I think it does.
I completely forgot.
I forgot about Pick on Yumi Week too, but yeah.
Listeners, Pick on Yumi Week was a stretch of episodes in season 1 where they all focused on Yumi getting the business end of the stick.
Basically getting just the crap kicked out of her, which you will
it's
see
it's 5 consecutive episodes.
Even more strongly an image problem, but we can talk about that after this. So yes, Odd sees this and he's very concerned, although he doesn't really know yet what to do about it. Especially since at that point he gets devirtualized, so there's really nothing he can do. He comes back and there's smoke drifting through the factory because here come the bulldozers.
There's one thing I did want to note, just very quickly. The scene where Yumi descends through like a crawl space or something into the factory. I don't think that the architecture of the factory is ever consistent on how you can get into the lab besides the elevator, which always bothered me. It always really bothered me. But anyway, yes, there's the bulldozers are these tiny little bulldozers are somehow bringing down this huge factory, and the roachsters, incidentally, are very much more of a threat in this episode than they are in other episodes. They're much more effective. I also wanted to note that.
Absolutely. No, that's consistent with these early episodes. And something I just looked back at my notes. Another thing that hit me just now was like the bulldozers causing all this damage and causing Ulrich pretty serious bodily harm. It's stuff like this that happens in the real world. With all due respect to the people that worked hard and worked well to bring Code Lyoko Evolution to us, live action just does not work for this show, just because it made so many plots impossible.
Absolutely. I thought that was the worst mistake they ever made. But they didn't make it because Code Lyoko Evolution never happened.
Exactly. That's why I said with all due respect, because I know a lot of people worked very hard on that and that they put a lot of effort into it. There were just things that they were prevented from doing.
If instead of Code Lyoko Evolution we had gotten season 5, do you think Laura would have caught on with the fandom?
I don't know.
Laura being this new character that they introduced in the thing that does not exist, that was not popular.
I imagine there would have been some people who were like, yeah, Laura, but I think that, on the whole, I mean, you introduce a new character to anything, and there's always usually pushback.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Overall, it just ended up not really being an issue for me.
Yeah.
And
so,
he prays.
So, as Mary mentioned that Ulrich has had severe bodily harm, one thing I want to note is, because, Ulrich wants to get into the action. And Jeremie's like, you look at yourself. You're in no condition. But then Odd gets devirtualized, and Aelita needs help. So he says, Yumi, help me, or Odd, help me. He says somebody to help him to get down into the scanners, as, the factory is shaking down around him. And I'm not... Does this ever factor in again, this idea that you have to be in physically good condition to enter Lyoko, or that it might somehow affect your state in Lyoko? Because
it comes up for Odd at some point. I know in Code Lyoko Evolution, actually, it was established that once you got kicked out of Lyoko, you couldn't go back for a certain period of time.
12 hours.
Well, that I knew that when you get devirtualized. I just meant if you are injured and then you go to Lyoko, does it affect your performance on Lyoko? Because I would have thought that it did not. Once you're there. You've got your body or whatever.
It might be inconsistent.
Maybe you have fewer life points.
Maybe. That could be.
It does seem
but I don't think they
inconsistent.
established that.
Either way, did you mention... I'm sorry, I might have spaced out for a second. Did you mention that the reason that Ulrich wants to go to Lyoko is because Odd told them about the vision with Yumi falling into
Oh, I did not mention that.
Yeah, no,
yes.
He hears that and he's like, nope. Meanwhile, a mega tank has shown up. You know what's weird here? The Kangaroolots are always treated as this huge threat, and yet the mega tank, it always feels like they're very silently dealing with it, even though the mega tank is by far the bigger threat.
Absolutely. That said, that Kankerlots, Ragesters, have so far been much more effective than Megatanks, because every time that we see a Megatank, it somehow gets outsmarted, right?
Yeah, it does.
Roadsters, on the other hand, have devirtualized people on multiple occasions
Right.
at this point.
And why does a Megatank need to be smart? All it does is shoot its laser at people, which it does profusely here. In fact, that's actually how Yumi ends up falling in, because it shoots a laser at Aelita, and Yumi
She
body
pushes
slams the Megatank, but into the digital sea, actually, and we see that beam of light we mentioned earlier come up, and Aelita's able to get into the tower, but Yumi is left hanging by a thread, and we have Aelita going up into the tower, and we have Ulrich racing to get at Yumi, and neither of them are able to get her in time.
It's actually a pretty not a touching scene, but a powerful scene, because Ulrich's racing really fast with his super speed, and the moment that he reaches down to grab Yumi, she falls.
But here's the thing.
The very moment.
And here's why I said that the thing about Senses and Lyoko are kind of undermined by this one scene. If there's no sense of touch, then what's keeping Yumi from just hanging from that ledge forever? She feels no pain and no discomfort from...
Oh my god, You're right.
You are right.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless her grip is just...
slippery.
Loosening. Yeah, although one doesn't sweat. She must have just had a bad handhold and it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But I am sure that is an oversight on the part of the writers, that they did not realize that.
It's just funny, because the very episode where they introduce how senses work on Lyoko is the one where this happens. So
Wah, wah, wah.
And
little snafu.
One thing, this and I touched on this earlier when I was talking about the destroying the factory part. One thing that this episode does for the first time in the series is it turns that whole idea that you just go back to the Return of the Past and everything's fine again idea on its head. Because Aelita gets to the tower. She deactivates the tower and the bulldozers stop and they immediately return to the past. But Yumi had already fallen into the digital sea.
And they get back.
And
Yumi's
and
gone.
she's not there.
Which actually answers a question I'd had for a long time and didn't even know it was answered in the show until we got here, which was, if someone does die or goes into the digital sea, what happens after you return in time? And I guess the answer is, at the point of the revision, they just either die or fizzle out of existence.
Yeah, they just stop. They just don't exist.
They can't die, because then when they materialize Yumi again, there would be a Yumi corpse in her house, on her bed.
Yeah, I think she literally just stopped existing. Like, she just vanished. Yep, just like that.
Huh.
I can't make the sound. I'm not going to try.
Me neither. But for 5 seconds, it is the atmosphere in that factory.
It's very somber.
They're just stunned. Yumi's dead.
I mean, this is the first time that we have seen the Return of the Past not fix all their problems. It may very well be. Well, I guess it has to be the second, because they must have learned somehow that returning the past wouldn't fix it. But it's the first time that we see them faced with at least what they are trying to sell off as a major irreparable consequence.
Yeah, I mean, if the Deus Ex Machina hadn't come into play, they would have had to... Well, they wouldn't have told Yumi's family. I mean, sooner or later, she would have been reported as missing if they didn't do anything. And then it would just be unsolved forever, and they'd have to live with that guilt.
Oh.
Woo!
Yeah. But they don't have to do that, because guess what they've got?
They've got the code, the materialization code.
They do.
And the cruel dilemma that the episode names is this moment right here, where they can use this one-time materialization code. I'm not sure if we mentioned it while we were talking about it.
We did
but
mention it.
Jeremie is very clear that this code can only be run once, because he doesn't know what the candy typed in, so he can't recreate it. So they've got a one a one-way ticket from Lyoko to Earth. And the cruel dilemma is that Jeremie can use it to bring back Yumi from the digital sea, or he can bring back Aelita. Or bring back, or he can materialize Aelita like he's always wanted to do. But he can only do it once. So who does he pick? That's the dilemma.
It's not even a dilemma. Oh my god.
It's resolved so soon. Aelita herself volunteers to stay behind so that they can bring Yumi back.
That's just it. Even if Aelita had been chosen, she would not have stood for it.
No.
Although, I guess she does have a choice. Like, I was wondering, could Jeremie just forcibly materialize her? But he can't, because she has to be in the tower for that to happen.
You're right.
Funny enough, not this code. Yumi doesn't have to be in a tower.
Nope.
Oh.
He could have.
That's fair.
He could have just done it. But Ulrich would have probably killed him. Yeah.
Oh, that's just it. It would have torn the group apart. Like, there was not a choice. But,
well, they're good kids. They did the right thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, the alternative is horrific, which is amazing that it was even touched on. But yes, Jeremie uses the one-time code to find Yumi and bring her back from the digital sea, and she just sort of falls out of the scanner. She's exhausted. Ulrich and Odd catch her. It's really cute. And Jeremie, he's a little bummed because he really wanted to use that code. He
really wanted to bring his waifu to Laifu.
He did. And I think the others understand, or the others definitely understand that, because as they're going back in the factory, they all comfort him.
There's this kind of forlorn scene where he's going through the sewers back, and they very rarely show this, by the way, them going from the factory to Caddick back through the sewers, and he's on his scooter. The others all use skateboards, but Jeremie, and he's just scooting sadly. He's, his head is kind of down, and he's alone, and it's just this moment, and then all of his friends come up behind him, and they grab him around the shoulder, and it's very touching.
It is. And Odd gives him a piece of candy, because, as Yumi
says... Which
is
a little weird, because he kind of, offers to hand feed him.
Yeah, that's
a little
weird. Yumi says, candy can fix anything, even a broken heart.
Even a broken heart.
And credits.
And also, I see here that this episode first aired in the U.S. on April 26, 2004, so happy almost 13th American birthday, Cruel Dilemma.
Wow.
Oh, man, that takes me back.
I know, right? It's at some point, especially because it's April, I think for 7 or 8, we are getting near the birthday. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, what do you think? I think for season 1, it's a 9. Overall, it's like a 8.5.
I'm willing to give it a 9 overall.
Oh.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8 or 8.5 indeed.
Just because I think it's very solidly done. I think the most of that comes from the fact that it's really the first time that the show sinks its meaty hands into all it can be.
This episode is Code Lyoko as I think of it when I think back on it.
Same.
It has all of the elements that make a good Code Lyoko episode. Are there episodes that may have used those elements to better execution? Sure.
All of season 2.
But not many. Well, true.
Which one? What?
I said all of season 2.
Oh, all of season 2. Season 2 is such a good season, you guys. It's such a
We're
good
almost
season.
there, just 20 more
episodes.
Yep.
But we have another interesting one coming up. Image problem.
Oh, that's the one where they go all out on the Yumi Jeremie ship tease.
Oh, yes, it is. It's also the first episode written by my personal hero for this show, Bruno Regest.
Bruno! Oh, I've been wondering when he was going to show up.
Yes.
Okay.
I think he was showrunner for a little while, and the only Code Lyoko episode series writer who went on to write for Code Lyoko Evolution.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean,
he must have been dedicated. Good for Bruno.
The director, Jerome Muscadet, and the other showrunner, Sophie Descroisset, they wrote the first 2 episodes of Evolution.
Yeah, I remember that. That sounds true.
Bruno Regest was the only one who stayed on for the entire series. And, maybe I'm remembering wrongly, but his episodes are probably my favorites.
I think that he is the most consistently good writer of episodes.
Yeah.
Although, I don't remember being historically fond of Image Problem.
Guys, I'm getting a phone call. Just BRB.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't remember much of the plot, really. But I just, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I have the sense that I did not like Image Problem.
I'm actually I'm cheating a little bit. I'm going into CodeLyoko.fr and I'm looking at the screenshots to see if there's anything I can pull out of this.
Hey, you guys. I thought I was going to get called back for a job interview, but this was not the case.
Oh.
Well, anyway, what I miss?
Whoa.
I was just saying that I don't recall thinking Image Problem was a very good episode, but then I don't remember much about the episode either, so it's hard for me to make a statement.
It's one of the creepier episodes.
It is creepy. It's really creepy. Also, we were right. First appearance of the ice sector.
Good.
Okay,
Excellent. I'm a little sad, though, because my all-time favorite episode of Code Lyoko doesn't come in until Season 4. So it's going to be a while.
It's a very infamous scene coming up in here. I don't know if I want to spoil it for these guys.
Let's keep it a secret.
Just remember to tune in next week, folks.
Exactly. And also, sorry the episode was a little late, extenuating circumstances.
And also a little longer than usual, I think.
No, not necessarily. I mean, I'm probably gonna be chopped down to about usual length. Either way,
all right.
Thank you so much again for listening, and we hope to see you next week when we have some problems with some images.
Remember, if you like our podcast, to rate us on iTunes and review.
And subscribe. And
yeah.
Then, as always, and always and forever, I'm Mary.
I'm
Ben.
And I'm Ben.
And I'm David.
And Steve.
And I'm Mary.
Super nuclear.
On me dit que je ne suis qu'un bon à rien, un vrai loser. Hey, d'un mot qui sonne, je ne suis plus dans le coup. Une flèche au cœur, je fais plus partie du show. Tirer le rideau, éteigner les lumières. Qu'est-ce que je peux faire? Coincé sur ma chaise, déchaînez-moi, on va s'envoler.